Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Audacity Podcast, where you can get your little dose of all things sewing and a little mess. Just a little mess. A little
Not just a little mess,
just a teaspoon of it. Just a
just like a
teaspoon of it.
scotch.
Yes. I am one of your hosts over here. I am Julian of Julian Creates. You can find me on all platforms as Julian Creates. Who am I talking to today?
Well, listen, today, um, your girl's got on her bonnet for recording because you ever just like have those days, and I know you're about to say yes, where you're just like, you
Mhm.
know what? I'm actually just done.
Yes,
I'm
absolutely.
tapping out, you
Mhm.
know, like I think I put my bonnet on at like 8 o'clock because I was like, listen, I think I'm finished for the day.
And that is
Um,
fine. Yes. I believe in it.
Yeah, like I just finished uploading a new YouTube video. Make sure that you guys go and check that out. We're talking about the fall plus size simplicity drop. Um, but yeah, I was like, you know what? I think I'm just finished with it. So, um, yeah, that's kind of where I am right now.
And y'all, just to let y'all know, y'all are getting a working
Hmm.
podcast. We are multitasking the hell out of this motherfucker today. Y'all hear me? Because what season is it? For
This
us,
season, dose, which
look,
means all pleasantries are out the business. No, I'm just
well,
joking.
that part, but it's also we got this, it's design season for us, meaning that
Yes.
currently I'm currently working on for next spring 2025, I'm working on my pattern. And when that drops or when it is shipped to us, the clock starts. So I am on day 5. We have 8 days to
Hmm.
make and take initial photographs. And what happens with me is I get indecisive and start to have to make stuff over. This is so we are on
Yeah,
garment number version 2 of one of them. So, you do what you got to do.
we
So you get
do.
when you hear a machine in the background, mind your business. I'm working. Just
Actually,
like,
don't mind your business. Be like, ooh, I can't wait to cop this. But I also really feel like because both Julian and I are kind of in the throes of design as well as taking the garments that we have designed and taking them from just simple design to manifestation so that they can be in your closets.
mhm.
That this is a really great topic to talk about the differences that kind of go into designing for a commercial pattern versus designing for an indie pattern because I too am in the midst of the throes of my own. Now, for those who are like, oh, well, why aren't you in the midst of doing your spring 2024? I'm sorry, 2025, because oh my God, how are we
Right.
almost at 2025?
We ain't talking about it. I ain't ready. I ain't ready.
Right.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Cool. Let us continue.
Hmm.
But I do not have a fall or a spring 2020 for 2025 pattern at all, which is giving me a little bit more extra time to kind of focus on my indie patterns that I create and produce with Made for Mermaids. So because of that, and we've actually been asked quite a bit about the differences in those types of design processes, which are tray different. As
They
it trait
are.
as in not like Trey songs, trait as in like very from the Francais, a little wee wee bonbons and all that good stuff. Okay.
Right. Right.
Um,
But we can take from a little Trey songs and dive in. Anywho, ooh.
he's
And now
gonna
mama
sing,
she mad at me.
and I'm not going to sing because that is not my ministry. And I feel like we found that out last week in our
Child.
return
It
when
was
I was
barely
making up
mine.
jingles and I was listening to it back and I was like, why didn't Julian tell me to stop doing that? And he didn't. And I
No.
don't know if it's because he loves me and he's blinded by his undying love and affection for me, or maybe he didn't want to hurt my feelings. But either way, when I listened back, I was like, you are not Jill Scott. You are not
But
Jilly from Philly. You are not Erica sitting in a window seat. You know what I'm saying? So keep it to a minimum, sis. I
no, I
had to
don't
have
believe
that
in
hard
that.
conversation with myself.
I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it.
We
Um,
should.
but yeah, it definitely is a bit different. With indie patterns, of course, you do have more autonomy in
Mhm.
terms of like you do the whole process yourself.
Yes.
With commercial patterns, the way that it normally works is that we send designs, literally, like we give a sketch and inspiration pictures, and we give it to their company to then like do the design,
Draft, grade,
draft
all
it,
that.
all that good stuff. So it takes out a lot of that extra work for us,
Hmm.
but also we are on somebody else's time frame.
Yeah.
And in somebody else's schedule, which we do not always have knowledge fully of. So
Hmm.
it becomes a very sped up process trying to make sure stuff comes out. Talk
Yeah.
a little bit more about like your patterns, like how it comes out with Made for Mermaids.
So I will say that with Made for Mermaids, it is I don't want to say it's a bit easier because it has its easy and it has its hard parts, right?
Hmm.
Because for me, like I already know what my next pattern for Made for Mermaids is going to be, and I'm about to start drafting it come Friday.
Come on.
Um, so I have that flexibility, I have that control. I don't have anyone to approve of my designs, especially because honestly, like working with Megan, who owns Made for Mermaids, is such an easy thing because
Hmm.
one, she has a lot of faith in her designers, that we are going to do things that are going to do well. I think that
Hmm.
each of us has a different aesthetic. And because of that, it allows Made for Mermaids to have a little bit more variety. So for me, my process, just like very high level, is I typically think of a design, normally inspired by either something I'm missing in my wardrobe, something I would like in my wardrobe, because I happen to be scrolling on Pinterest and see something that catches my eye, and I'm like, oh, is there a pattern for this?
That part.
And then from there, once I have decided on it, then I draft the smallest piece, and then or rather, draft the smallest size, which is for us, it is gray, which is essentially the equivalent of an extra, extra small. And
Hmm.
then I draft the largest size, which for us, I think is a 4 or a 5 XL, but it goes up to like a hip of like 64 or 65, somewhere around there. Maybe,
Mm.
maybe 63, 64. Yeah, someplace around there.
Hmm.
Um, and so I draft those two sizes for what it is that I'm working on, and then I grade from there, so that I have my smallest size and my largest size, and I grade um, in between those sizes. Now, because I am who I am, I go back and I do actually do some hand grading as well, um, as I see it fit, depending upon what pattern it is. Now,
Hmm.
because this pattern that I have coming out on Monday is a skirt pattern, and it is drafted for woven fabrics, which means that I've got to have some positive ease. And I feel like Made for Mermaids is typically, we normally do a lot of knit patterns. So I
Right.
do feel like switching to a woven pattern, there have been some challenges getting it through testing, because this is my second woven pattern that I've tried to get through testing, and both times it's just been really, really hard. Um,
Mm.
because like, whereas with commercial patterns, they don't actually sew the garment and see it on a person's body. They sew
Right.
the garment and they put it on a dress form.
Right.
We are taking a look at what these garments are looking like on actual people's bodies. We want them to read the patterns, instructions, and to give us feedback to make sure that we're accurately communicating the tutorial, to make sure that anyone can read it and be able to do it. So
Right.
sometimes that can cause a little bit of hiccup.
Absolutely. And I think we have seen that even especially for us both going through the commercial drafting process. So when we receive the pattern, again, it has only been seen on a mannequin. That is
Right.
kind of how we are approving it. We have seen the drawings of it, and it is done on a mannequin. Once it is done on a mannequin and stuff like that, they send us a size. The mannequin size may not be the size that you get.
Hmm.
So that size has not really ever been seen in like life to know exactly how that is shaped and looks. Um, and it always like sometimes there are things like, okay, I know that I have to make these general adjustments to any like simplicity, like any of their block patterns that there might be some adjustments that you have to make.
Right.
Um, so that becomes a thing. And so you only have to go off of like your line drawings and what the muslin looked
Hmm.
like when they made it. So that's what you're going off of. And
Right.
we're trying to make it look as much like that drawing as possible. So we can't just be out here flipping and reversing it like we normally would of our patterns. Like you have to
Right.
basically make it as it is. And
Yeah.
the instructions that you get, there are no pictures. So we get basically their bullet pointed list. So it's like a draft of the instructions. And not all
Mm.
the time is it how you normally will put stuff together.
Right.
One example of that is most of the like button up shirts and stuff like that that have been in part of my patterns. They want you to put the sleeve in the round, like
Mhm. And
sew
I'm
up
a
the side
flat sleeve. I'm an
seams.
open sleeve girl.
Absolutely, all the time. And I learned that from my first shirt pattern. Most
Hmm.
men's like button up shirt patterns are like open, like they are fully open, and you are sewing it in that way. For my pattern, now no, the instructions come from a library of instructions that they have that they know that they have illustrations for.
Oh wow, I didn't know
So
that.
mhm.
You better
So
be educating me.
so there's like a library that they're choosing from that they know that they can fully like they can fully illustrate and stuff like that because that's usually what's important. So they are pulling from those different spaces and places when they are coming up with these instructions. So the place that they're getting like some of the men's stuff instructions from is sometimes it's the women's section because in women's you see more of the sleeves put in the round than flat.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
So
Yes, and that's normally because we have to. I feel like because with our sleeves, not that it's not okay for men's sleeves to have a little bit of gather, a little bit of, a little,
mhm,
but for women's sleeves, I do feel like it's more quote unquote acceptable to have that gather,
yeah.
to make easing that sleeve in a lot easier.
And with men's, you can easily do that, but even flat, I think for men's sleeves, there's a lot less of that gather. There's a lot less ease in the cap. There's some, but not a
Mm.
lot.
Hmm.
So the only place that I normally put my sleeves in and around are a jacket, like especially like
Yeah,
a blazer or something like that.
right.
Everything else, if I can, I'm gonna put it in flat.
That part. Because why should I be over here circulating when I don't have to?
Right.
This
I
is
mean, we have free arm machines, praise the Lord. But still,
crazy.
I'm like, no, that's
Yeah.
not my ministry. That's not how we do things over here.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes that sewing the sleeve in the round
Hmm.
can actually be can actually deter people from putting the sleeves on. I remember when I first started sewing, or coming back to sewing and I was trying to follow pattern instructions, I was just like, I don't actually want to do anything with sleeves because this
Right.
feels really hard. As opposed to when I learned how to do the flat sleeves, I was like, oh, well, this
Right.
feels easier.
And
Um,
it feels like you can just like whip it together. And that's what I
yes.
normally do. Literally whip it together.
Yeah.
So much
Um,
easier.
so much easier. Um, one of the things that I feel like is has been hard for me going from doing like indie patterns to commercial patterns is what you brought up as far
Hmm.
as our finished garments for the cover have to
Hmm.
match the line drawings exactly.
Hmm.
And because in doing indie patterns, we have a lot of creative freedom. So for example, my skirt pattern, one, I've got three different front skirt pieces. Now, my pattern does call for an invisible zipper, but like if I so happen to put a regular zipper in, it's
Yeah,
fine. It's
absolutely.
okay.
Yeah.
Just like now granted my pattern does call for darts in the back plus elastic to make sure that you really get a good fit, especially because we are trying to make this as beginner friendly as we can. It is an advanced pattern, but if I decide I don't need that elastic, I can omit the elastic and it's still good enough as long as it fits my body. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I do feel like in with indie patterns, we allow a lot more creative freedom when it comes to the covers and things like that.
Hmm.
Whereas because I am not the most detail oriented person, that was a really hard transition for me to make sure
Hmm.
that I had all of my things matching my line drawings,
Hmm.
as well as being really specific with literally every piece of the pattern. So like submitting the design, but also being as specific as I want 1 inch buttons. I want to use invisible zippers that are 7 inches, not 9 inches. I want to, you know what I'm saying? That
Mm-hmm.
level of detail is something that I am not used to having, and has been developmentally hard for me, especially because in my head I've got all of these great concepts, but like, for example, for my fall pattern, it was a jumpsuit, with a clasp in the back, but I couldn't find the actual clasp that I wanted as
Right.
far as a notion. You know what I mean? Um, so I felt like I was really limited in that. Whereas like with indie patterns, I could have just changed it on the fly. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's another big difference is like right now. And so again, Julian is currently working on his spring 2025 pattern. If he wants to make a change, he can't make any changes at this juncture. Like
Right.
it's done. The pattern is finished, the pieces are finalized. Um, which on the one hand, if you are someone who struggles with decision fatigue or making decisions, that sort of thing, that can really be helpful because like it's like a literally once it's in, it's in. That's all we got. This is all
Right.
this is it.
Right.
Whereas I can still be changing things. Like I can add a whole other skirt piece if I wanted to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
And that is
which
a
of
big
course is a
thing.
good and a bad thing.
Right. But and for to understand the detail, like the buttons, like down to the size of the buttons. So like
Hmm.
having to make sure that you have the right, like either you can fudge it. So like understand that they can tell if it is a 1/2 inch button or a 9/16.
Hmm.
Like those type, like that level of detail sometimes is needed. Top stitching, edge stitching, those type of things. Is it on the pattern? If there is on the pattern, can we make sure that it is, or can we make sure it's edited out of the picture?
Right.
So, and I think especially for Nomi, what's different about Nomi compared to the other commercial patterns is that those are shot in studio with models.
Right.
Nomi are shot on us. We shoot them. Um,
Yeah.
and our turnaround time is quick. So as we said, we have 8 days from
Hmm.
when we receive the pattern to create for preliminary shoots. Like
Mm-mm.
to
Let's amend that. From when the pattern is delivered,
yes,
which
delivered.
might be a different day than when you receive it.
Well. So literally, and they will let us know, like we might get a day or two heads up that it's
Hmm.
coming. So we have submitted these months ago.
Yeah.
And then we are waiting for them to be delivered. So they just send us an email like, hey, this is on its way. And then you will go and look at like the FedEx tracking, and it might be next day delivery.
Hmm.
When it is next day, you have to get started. Like you have 8 days from when it's delivered to have for preliminary shots, no matter
Hmm.
how many views that you have. So my this current pattern that I'm doing has 3 views. So three, I have 8 days to make 3 garments. That includes, so basically I had to have the forethought to make sure I had fabric, notions and stuff like that, so
Hmm.
that I can make sure that I am ready to go. Because there's not a lot of like normally I do a lot of ordering of fabric and stuff online. There's not too many places that I can go to make sure that I can work within this
Yeah.
timeline. So I basically have to pre-order stuff. Like, oh, I think this will work. And
Yeah.
we don't get like yardage and stuff like that. They don't really
No.
tell us that. So we are kind of going off of, I think like I go off of my basic, my 3 yard stuff, or I make sure I'm ordering more so I can
Right.
do what I want to do with it.
I will say that that part is very similar with indie patterns too, because
Yeah.
I don't give yardage requirements. Like I do give some estimations just to kind of help my testers out with
Hmm.
what they may or may not need to have available because like so for this for this skirt pattern, I think we needed maybe 2 yards because again, it's a
Right.
short pattern. So it's not like a whole lot of fabric is needed because it's not pants.
Right.
But like my last pattern that was before this one, which was another skirt, actually another skirt.
Hmm.
Somebody might be on a roll with something. But, because that was a pleated situation,
Right. Right.
um, we do need more fabric for the pleats and stuff like that. So even that is like, it was hard for me to estimate, and I don't want to slow down
Right.
the
The making process.
right with trying to be like, oh, let me take like a day to calculate this when that could have been the day that the people needed to be in the tester group and needed these files so they
Right.
could have sewn. So I really try not to delay when I get them these files and how long it takes them me to provide the information to them. Now, of course, like as we go through the test, we are updating files, we're updating tutorials. Like it's once the tests for us in the indie pattern world starts, it's never ending. Right. Like right now, I'm in a test for my friend Romy, and she's got this, it's a really dope shirt, but it's a
Hmm.
pleated button-up shirt.
Yep,
And
I've seen it, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh, how can I
I'm
make
so
this work for me?
listen, when I tell you that I'm so excited about this shirt, I'm so excited about the shirt. Um, but I know that like Romy is in those files all the time, just like I'm in
Right.
the files all the time too. One of the things that I feel like is hardest for me about doing the commercial patterns though
Hmm.
is choosing my cover fabric. Not necessarily choosing fabric for anything else, but choosing that cover fabric. Like I went my first fall pattern of what 2022.
Uh-huh.
I when I tell you that I went down the rabbit hole of color theory, what attracts people to buy. Of course, I was like super insecure that nobody was going to purchase my patterns, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But I was actively doing the research to make sure that I chose colors, patterns that highlighted the lines, wasn't too busy, but added style that stood out amongst other patterns and stuff like that. So
Right.
I always feel like choosing the fabrics for my covers is the hardest, especially given that now we only have 8 days to make it. Um,
Hmm.
because I feel, and of course I say this knowing exactly what Julian is navigating in this very second. Sometimes
Yep,
I
as
feel
I'm
like,
making something again because
hmm
um there is a fine as okay. So with my colors and with this pattern and with patterns in general for me, I'm working with intersections. I am a Black queer man. Okay. So that's a man
hmm
who sews, who's also trying to show patterns that are on a masculine form.
hmm
But I love color and print. Um, a
and
men
color
would
and print love you, boo.
but a lot of men would shy away from that. And the women who might make it for them might shy away from that. So there have been some critique and stuff like that that I can't see people like I would have to imagine this if it was in a basic like white or blue jean or something like that, which is not what I sew. That's not what brings me joy.
Mhm.
That's not the world that I see myself in. If I want something plain, I usually buy it.
Right.
I don't spend time making it. But having to now think about what does a person in middle America who might want to sew for their mate or something like that, also what will make them buy?
Yeah. And I feel like that is so hard
It
because you
is,
do
and
want
it's
people to
not
buy, but you also don't want to lose the
yourself.
pieces of yourself that people legit love, right? And that really
Hmm.
separates you from other designers. Um,
Absolutely.
So it's definitely a careful balance. One, I can't wait for y'all to see what he ended up going with for this spring cover because it is very, very exciting, but in a subdued way. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
oh,
I,
Julian.
I'm feeling better about it. I am. I am. Oh, Jesus, I'm just dropping everything. I am. But there was still a like I'm looking at it sideways like who is this?
Hmm.
Who is this like and they saw the initial one. And the initial one it made me feel like I done got caught up in some PPP loan stuff and was in federal prison. I look like Adabisi on Oz
Sir, to the corner.
with a kufi and some bean pies. That's what it was given.
I mean, bean pies really do be hitting though.
I mean they do. Let's can we take a moment for the bean pies?
Like,
Praise the Lord.
how did they make them bean pies taste like sweet potato pies? You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
oh, I have the recipe.
Stop
Hmm.
it. I
Hmm.
promise you, I came home because in Atlanta, they're always slinging some bean pies out on somebody's street corner, right?
Hmm.
I remember I went out and I came home with, of course, the paper,
Hmm.
the news,
The final call. Yep.
right, and a bean pie. And Denver was like, "Where, where did you get this? Where did you get this bean pie from?" And I was like, "Oh, I got it from the corner." Like,
Right.
because of
Right.
course, going to Spelman, like literally, if you walked to the West End train station, you were definitely going to walk past them. You was gonna pick
Yes.
up a snacky snack, right? You were even grab a cup of fruit, grab like a little bean pie stitch because they used to down there they make either the personal size pies or they sell the
Hmm.
slices. So
Yep.
you were about to
Hmm.
get a little snacky snack. You know what I'm
And
saying?
it be in their little messenger bags and
Hmm.
stuff like that. They might have some incense as well.
First of
Um,
all, I'm always completely shocked and filled with admiration because I'm like, how are y'all up in these suits and bow ties and there is not an iota of sweat dripping down their foreheads? Not a wrinkle in the
I ain't learned
suit.
it yet. I ain't learned it yet.
The
I ain't
bow
learned the
tie
magic.
be bow tying.
I
The
ain't learned the
listen,
magic yet.
the church shoes have zero creases in it.
None. 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 You hear me?
I'm just
None.
like, you guys have been standing outside in this sun all day and still smell fresh. Like,
Look.
it- tell me more. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I get that you have something to offer me in this final call, but what I need to know can
What's
only
your
come from
secret?
you. You know what I'm
What is your
saying?
secret?
Yeah.
Show me thy ways. How about that?
Show me that way. That's what I need. This is what I need the information on, you know? If you're gonna tell me that it's in the final call, then yeah, I'm gonna buy a copy and I'm gonna read it.
Now,
Right?
I ain't went that far, but there used to be a restaurant here. Not only did they sell the bean pies, they also sold the carrot pie. Have you ever had the carrot
What?
pie?
I've not had the carrot pie.
The carrot pie. Because so if you know about Elijah Muhammad and stuff like that, they don't eat sweet potatoes. So they have found ways to go around that. The carrot pie.
So you're saying now let me ask you, if
Hmm.
you had to choose between the bean pie and the carrot pie,
The carrot pie almost, yeah.
wow,
Uh-huh.
wow,
Uh-huh.
the pressure is getting worse.
Uh-huh. Did I go online and find that recipe too? Yes, I did.
Mm,
Yes, I did. Now, have I made them? No,
that's
but
fine
I got them.
because I'm going to be in Cincinnati the first weekend of November. So you have from now until then to go ahead and I don't know, maybe practice making a little pie because
Can we
I
talk
like
about how
pie
she just decided to pop this up on me on the podcast?
and did and did.
But
So
okay.
I know because it's like, Aronica, what are you going to be doing there? Now,
Hmm.
in a whole other lifetime, I was a parenting and sustainability influencer. I still am,
Right.
but I became a brand ambassador for a brand called Ergo Baby. If you were having babies or you have children who are still small enough to be carried or worn, I highly, highly, highly recommend Ergo Baby baby carriers. I can't say enough about them as well as Tula carriers. But I will be leading a trade show that is in Cincinnati. The
All
only
right.
reason why I said I wanted to go is because I knew I could see my boo.
Come
So when they
on.
asked via email, they were like, "Hey, we need a couple more people for the Cincinnati show." Literally, as soon as I saw that email come through, I replied, "Pick me,
Come on.
choose
Okay.
me, love me." You know, um, I said because Julian is not going to be the only one who be popping up on people.
I
You know,
mean, I ain't just hop up and just pop up on you, but
that's fine because I'm about to pop up on you.
come on.
And
Come
I'm
through.
expecting at least a little lamb chop because I seen the little lamb that you prepared. And now I'm expecting some carrot pie. So you got like, a good like 2 months to work on this.
Y'all, so she expected me not only to clean my house, y'all hear me, but to cook.
Hmm.
Jesus. Now, no,
I
when I
mean,
went, what we do, we got boba, but she expected a whole home cooked meal with dessert. I just want y'all to hear it.
like, am I your princess or am I your princess?
I
Okay.
mean, will I do it? Yes, but still, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Just know that I'm running through these Cincinnati streets to see my boo.
Come through. Come on. Come on. We'll be ready. I will be ready.
And I don't know, I might even be expecting to meet your mama.
No,
Oh, never mind.
we ain't gonna do that.
Got it.
Maybe. I'll pray on it.
Not him being like you went too far.
We'll pray on it. We'll pray
Hmm.
on it. I mean, we'll do a drive-by like we did with your people's house.
You right. You
Like
right.
they live here. That's all. They live
Hit him
here.
with the church wave.
Right. Praise the Lord and keep it moving.
Yeah.
But y'all, so back to some of the other stuffs. Yeah, so there are some different things that we have to think about. And what's
Hmm.
funny is that it's a game of hurry up and wait in many ways for commercial patterns. Because again, I'm doing stuff that I will not see again like April or May.
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
long time. Um,
Now, I will say that in addition to that, waiting for April and May, we do also have to do our sew-alongs.
right.
Now, one of
And
the things that I feel like every time I do, I'd be like, yo, I done hacked the system, is I record my sew-along as I'm doing my cover photo,
mhm.
just simply because the way that my ADHD is set up, I don't know how many times I'm gonna be able to make the same pattern.
And I've already thought about that, and I wish like I'm due to like just work schedule right now. It ain't in the cards.
Yeah.
Like, so we are recording this week. We a day late, so we're recording this on Wednesday.
Mhm.
At work today, we had a board meeting. We also, so I've been working, of course, full time. This weekend, I had some different things to do as well, but spent as much time as I could on this pattern.
Mhm.
Tomorrow, I have an evening work event with the author Heather McGee of The Sum of Us as we're launching a health equity report.
Wow, that's
So
kind of dope.
it is. It is. But there are so many different moving parts. Life, of course, does not stop.
Mm-mm.
So I'm like, all I got is the brain capacity to make the
Yeah.
damn thing, you
Yeah.
know,
I do know.
and try to figure that part out. Anything else beyond that, it
It's
ain't gonna
above
be
me
right
now.
now.
Yeah.
Yes.
That feels very understandable, very relatable. Yeah.
But so what ends up happening is like there's also timing for that. So the timing for that as of right now is um we get 10 days from when we receive the paper pattern to make our sew along. And they try to get it to us, of course, before they hit the store. But the way that works is real subjective because they might hit the website and you
Hmm.
might not see it in the store for some months. And
Listen,
that
depending upon what Hoan's got going on, you know what I'm
right.
saying?
And that definitely is not like on simplicity and no
No,
like
it's not on them. Yeah. It's
that
not
is
on design
on
for them.
Joanne's part. And we also, and I think it's important to understand when people ask about seeing stuff in the store and stuff like that, and they are seeing it's taking so long to see it, you
Hmm.
have to understand how the merchandising work for our patterns.
Hmm.
So essentially, for new patterns to come out, what then needs to happen is that they then need to basically totally rejig and reorganize the pattern section each and every time.
Hmm.
Meaning that old patterns then need to be moved out of the cases and whatnot as new patterns are moved in.
Right.
And that also means that, y'all know y'all Joanne's, y'all know they ain't be having no people working for real.
You guys know your Joanne's.
So imagine those people like almost towards the end of the evening when you already only got two people and a manager in the store checking people out for all the different types of fleeces so that they can make these little cuddle blankets or whatever they be calling them. Having to then take the time to go through the drawers with scanners to see what is still like what is in print, what is out of print, what moves, what is a display pattern, what is not, where does it go? And as new patterns come, you notice they keep on bringing out patterns. They don't
Mhm.
keep on giving more like cabinet room. There's no more
Oh,
cabinet space. So they then have to go through and like mark those out the system. Now, what of course sucks is that when they mark them out the system, some used to like put them on clearance. Most of them are thrown away.
that is so sad.
It is, but that is how capitalism works.
Not that it's how capitalism works. Oh my God, Julian.
Because I mean, it literally like they can't give it to people. They can't go to the library. They literally go in the trash. What used to happen is that, and a lot of times if you buy vintage patterns and stuff like that online, what you will notice is that they do not have the envelope. So what would end up happening is that
They
as
dumpster
patterns,
dove.
no, not technically dumpster though, they would have to return the envelopes to the company. So like to McCall's, to
Uh,
Simplicity and stuff like that. So they could keep the patterns and that would go to employees
mm,
and stuff like that, but they would have to return the envelopes in.
Not Julian with this like bit of
Hmm.
info. Julian, one thing about Julian, he can come through with some random facts
Every so often
that
I'll
are
be
not
knowing
so random.
things. Every so
Um,
often.
yeah. And of course, with indie patterns, like once the pattern is ready to go, it's ready to go. We for testing, and I feel like so for me, and I've talked about this in a YouTube video that was like how to become a pattern tester. Now, for
Hmm.
me, pattern testing is something that triggers my anxiety every single time, and it's
Hmm.
something that I feel like is getting less and less triggering for me because I do want to be a successful designer, and I have a lot of fun doing my indie pattern designs. But because we are really dependent upon the feedback of other people, um,
Hmm.
and because so now I will say that Made for Mermaids does pay in the form of affiliate sales. Now, a
Hmm.
lot of people are like, oh, affiliate sales, that's nothing, that's nothing. But here's the thing. If you are a blogger, if you have social media, if you decide to host a sew along, you
Hmm.
can have the people purchase everything through your links, right? You send out a
Hmm.
newsletter, you use your affiliate link. We've had people earn between 600 on up to $1,000 with using their affiliate links throughout the month. So
See?
making money with your affiliate links is a possibility, and I wish that more people understood that and took advantage of it. Um,
Absolutely.
but one of the hard things in testing is because we are kind of at the mercy of our testers. So, for example, a hard conversation that I had to approach Megan with, and I keep bringing Megan up because she owns Made for Mermaids, and um she in owning it and because she's done this for so long doing tutorials being there for advice for help etc is second nature for her, right? She's
Hmm.
always there to offer helping hand, which I personally appreciate. But I had
Hmm.
to have the hard conversation with her like, girl, like we've got like 3 sets of photos for kids turned in. What are we about
Right.
to do? Like, am I
Right.
just not going to release the children's pattern, or like are we going to hold back because we're getting ready to have an anniversary sale also?
Mm.
Anniversary sale. Well, actually, we'll talk about that in a second.
Hmm.
But we want to have the pattern done, and we already have the final versions of the patterns and stuff like that already.
Right.
But again, we're at the mercy of the testers. Like, I don't want to release a pattern where one, I don't have enough photos of different sizing so that people can see themselves or their kids in the patterns. But
Right.
also, I want to make sure that when I was checking, when I was crossing my T's, dotting my I's, that I
Hmm.
did it for every single size.
Right.
And it's because of course with pattern drafting, you're taking the essentially the 1D version and turning it into 3D, right?
Of
And
course. Yep.
so I need to make sure that my planning was executed properly. Like how it looked in my head is exactly how it was looking on people's bodies.
Right.
And also, if we're being completely honest, in fact, I just had a conversation about this today. Um, we want to make sure that there's as many bodies represented because we know that not being able to see your body represented in a pattern can either make or break you buying the pattern. The amount of people that have said to me, "Oh, I bought this pattern because I saw you wearing it and our body types are similar," right? So
Right.
to
And
me,
that
that's
definitely
really
does
important.
help.
It
And
does.
it it helps when people make the commercial ones with different body types because a lot of
Yes,
people have been looking to that for the same thing, or
exactly.
looking to listen to like, okay, what issues did they have so that I can be prepared if I have similar issues.
Right, right.
Hmm.
Which I think is super important. Of course, once our test is done, now, if you're looking for more details into the testing process, please definitely check out the video that I dropped that was how to become a tester because I go through all the different phases of testing. But
Hmm.
once the pattern is in the final stages, then as an indie pattern designer, we get to choose whenever we decide to drop it. Now, Made for Mermaids, we normally drop our patterns on either a Tuesday or a Thursday. This time we're dropping on a Monday because we're preparing for this anniversary sale and we want the pattern to be able to be included in it.
Hmm.
Um, so this is done intentionally. But with an indie pattern, you can drop it whenever you want to. And I do feel like most indie pattern designers have a day of the week that where they drop it because then that primes the audience to be ready to purchase, everything like that.
Right.
We like to do a lot of sneak peeks with our patterns, get people excited about what's coming up and everything like that.
Hmm.
Um, and we have a lot of flexibility. I do also see us doing that with our Nomi patterns as well, which I do feel like gets people excited too. Um, but also, like Julian said, with commercial patterns, we're just kind of at the mercy of whenever these drops happen. So, for example, like I dropped a video that was about the plus size simplicity patterns that were with the most recent release, but
Hmm.
McCall's and Nomi are not included because those haven't dropped yet even
Right.
though fall is like 2 weeks
Here.
away, right?
And honestly, like I think we kind of got a little bit of a insight. I don't think we're seeing falling for Nomi until October, which
Right.
is considered late, especially right now. We're literally in like fashion design, like this is New York Fashion Week season. And
Hmm.
like the September issue is normally when you start to think about, okay, this is what's the new hotness, this is the new things coming out, this is what we can expect to see. So when these things come out later,
Right.
it's not capitalizing on the momentum that can be frustrating.
And I feel like speaking about momentum is a really big thing, right? Because we have to be able to draw upon the momentum for our
Hmm.
sales, right? And I feel like a lot of times people don't like to talk about money. It's like, oh, it's taboo. But here's the thing. Like we get paid a percentage, and I get paid a percentage of my indie patterns as well because I don't own Made for Mermaids. And
Hmm.
also, if I'm being completely honest, there's a lot of things that I don't do. Like I don't like I do all of my high level tutorials, but like Megan puts together the tutorial. She does the line drawings and stuff like that. Right.
Mm.
I have
Right.
like someone else does the collages. And I'm absolutely okay with profit sharing because I don't want to do any of that, if I'm being completely honest.
Amen.
So, in order
Amen.
for us to make money as designers, especially as Nomi designers, the volume that we have to sell is high. Like
Yep.
so we are out here pushing these patterns. And the biggest thing that helps us is when people buy our patterns, make the patterns, talk about the patterns, right? So
Hmm.
for example, today someone posted a story about how they finally made like my spring 2015, I think, pattern.
Okay. Hmm.
And her pleats looked so perfect. It looked amazing. Maybe it wasn't 2015 because I feel like 2015 was my bustier. Whatever
20.
came after that one. Um,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
the mere fact of her posting it, I had other comments in my DMs like, "Oh, which pattern is that? Where did
Right.
she get that pattern?" Right?
Right. Hmm.
So I can make and sew and share the pattern as much as I want to, but my audience already knows about this, right? They're already very clear. They have already like they knew about it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Hmm.
Whereas when we have other people who are doing this and who are sharing our patterns, buying, hosting sew-alongs, that sort of thing, what that does is it allows us to reach an entirely new audience,
Right. Absolutely.
which is good.
Absolutely. And needed. Like so even like where like there have been those with Black Sewing Network and different things like that.
Mhm.
Those are ways to that are helping to boost the pattern. And a lot of times, like so most of my patterns I've done so long for Black Sewing Network with the pattern on TikTok or on Instagram.
Mhm.
Mostly TikTok. But that helps people understand and get like, hey, this is a new something that's out. Um, I really like it.
Yeah.
And that's what helps make people want to buy it. And like that's what we are resting on. And understand that there's also with the way that Nomi is designed and the designers that were chosen, sadly, there are people that were not pleased with
Mhm.
who were on the list. and what we look like. So there are people that love to not give us our due and our credit. I will put it that way.
Yeah.
Keep it cute. So
Yeah.
with that being the case, like it's just there's that added like ick factor sometimes. That's the best way I can call it. Like we get hate like everybody else. And ain't nothing worse sometimes than craft hate. They
There
rule.
really isn't anything worse than craft hate. In fact, I was actually talking to somebody about this the other day. They were like, "Oh, crafters are so happy." And I was like, "You
The
clearly
lie you
haven't been
tell.
on any Reddit threads or you haven't
Right.
seen comments up on here, on these social media posts. You would think that anytime I talk about projector sewing, that like
You the devil incarnate and something. Yeah. Hmm.
when I tell you people be big, man, they be like, that's not even real sewing." Like, okay, girl.
I'm like, but
That's
yet I've seen what you make, and that don't look like real sewing either, if we want to be honest.
right.
But that ain't none of my business.
Yeah, I just be over here like, you know what? I'm gonna mind my business,
Right. That pays
Uh,
me.
yeah, that's all I can do. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But so like just to give people a little bit of understanding of like what the season looks like, if you notice that some of the people who post a lot and stuff online kind of go dark a little bit, um, that's why. Because
Hmm.
we also really can't fully share what we're doing right now.
Right.
So it makes it like there is that bit of like I'm doing stuff. I'm even been filming content, but I can't share it right now. And shoot, I gotta remember that I did it and how I did it when I do it again
Right.
next year.
That's hilarious.
Or even if I like decide to like, then these things sit in our closet. And I'm like, y'all about to see it. I don't know what to tell y'all. Y'all gonna be seeing me in it. And I can't really tell you where I got it from. Um, because yeah, it's
Yeah,
like surprise, surprise.
literally. And
So
then I feel like, of course, this is something that we're both navigating if we're being completely honest, that we get to the point where we can't even wear them when they drop.
right,
Because like
they don't
my
fit.
by the time that the spring, well, I guess when my spring patterns dropped, I could fit them,
Uh-huh.
but like they don't fit now.
Yeah. Right.
Just like my overalls don't fit. They used to be so well fitted because listen, the adjustments that I made on those overalls,
You worked. You
I
worked.
did.
You worked,
Like my
honey.
full booty adjustment was calculated to the T.
You
And now it
worked.
was all for naught because it doesn't fit at all. But and I think that that is something also. One of the hard things for me, because I did not sew commercial patterns before I came on as a designer, simply
Hmm.
because most of the time my body could not fit in them.
Right.
Um, it was an adjustment for me to, because the slopers that we use for Made for Mermaids are significantly more curvy
Hmm.
than the slopers that they use for Nomi.
Hmm.
So for me, it was quite a bit of an adjustment, and it's always hard for me to get a good fit
Hmm.
just because it's not my normal,
Right.
that's not my norm that I go to. So I also feel like that can be a challenge. But when we are making those, we do make the adjustments that we would normally make to make sure that garment fits our bodies correctly. And the
Hmm.
same is true for when you're doing your indie patterns. We do want you to make those adjustments for your specific shape. We are not going to adjust an entire pattern simply because you have to make an adjustment. And that is the same, obviously, with the commercial patterns as well.
Right. And a lot of time we just need to, I think we all can do like more of a better job of just giving those adjustments. Like, what did you change? Like
Oh,
what
that's good.
like
Yeah.
what are the like where did you change things at? What did you change? If we were able to just say like, okay, from jump, this is a straight size, these are my measurements, and go from there, it will make things easier.
I
Because
agree.
right now I'm making a straight size pattern, and I don't have a straight size body, but that's the size I have. So I'm
Right.
having to make it work with what I have. So whereas I almost need to like grade between, I need a smaller size for the waist right now, a
Mm-hmm.
larger size for the hip, and then could
That
actually
booty.
do, look, it's doing a little something. It's trying. It's a little engine that could. Um,
And
I
it is.
almost could use a like the size that I currently have for my shoulders and stuff like that, but then like at the waist and stuff like that for the shirt, great in the body.
Hmm.
And to give and but I want to be very conscious that if I did that, you would not see that it would not do the same for you on the pattern.
Right.
And if
Right.
you are expecting that, that ain't what this gonna be.
Right.
So having to figure out how to like be conscious of like knowing my body and what's going to work for me, but also how the pattern looks is very important.
It is, yeah.
So, mm-hmm.
So, I really feel like I'm ready for your history section. What
Are
do
we
we
ready for
call
a little history?
I am. What is it? The so historical? Is that what I
Something
said
like
last
that.
time?
I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit of history. How about that? We just gonna
Hmm.
do a little history. That's what we're gonna
Hmm.
call it. A little bit of
So
history.
historical.
So we had talked about and started talking about the history of the Class 15 bobbin,
Hmm.
and with the Class 15 machines by Singer, which came out in I think we said in like 1888 is when the first ones came out. And I'm using information from singersewinginfo.co.uk. Just
Okay.
because we gotta go look up information. But what we noticed is that the way that we know the Singer 15 machine really came into being, I want to say in the 1890s,
Mm.
because originally it had a different bobbin system called the long beat, and it did not have the current system that we know.
Okay.
The current system that we know came out in around the 1890s, late 1880s, 1890s, with the current bobbin, like shuttle race and everything like that, as well as the needle system. So the domestic needle system that we usually are using is that 15 by 1, or
Wow.
that is the name that it normally goes by. Same with class 15 bobbins. It's all because of this one machine, which became one of the most popular selling machines in the world at the time.
Wow.
So that to the point where other brands and stuff like that started to pick up the system as well, and that how it became like the standard that we use.
Yeah.
What is interesting is that while other machines started to go to like zigzag and stuff like that, especially in the like late 30s into the 40s, you start seeing the zigzag machines. Singer waited. Okay. So Singer did come out with swing needles. That's what they were called, swing needle machines. So that is your 206, your 231, your 301. No, not your 301, your 306. Um, it was a few different machines that they came out with starting in like the 40s and stuff like that. Um, that machine used a different bobbin system as well as needle system that is shorter than a regular 15 by 1. If you use a regular 15 by 1, it will not, the timing will be off on those machines unless you have had it rejigged and it won't work the same.
Hmm.
But so like just so that people know is that there were and still are different needle systems for different machines, and they each do like different little things. Um, Either like they're shorter, they're like there are just they each have their own different special classifications. But most machines nowadays are your regular 15 by 1 system, sometimes called the 705 H or something like that. It's all the
Okay.
same domestic needle system with the flat shank, or the one-sided flat shank, and the like the size 12 or size 1280 or size like 1490 and stuff like that. That is about the size of the hole that's in the needle itself.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
So just a little bit of history there. please, if you have questions about different things or are curious, y'all know I know a lot of just random facts about stuff. So
My
if you have
question is, how do you keep up with all of these facts? You know what I mean?
no clue, it's just literally, it's just be in my head.
I love that for us.
Just they just be there.
I love
Um,
that for us.
but yeah, so if you have any questions or anything like that, or one thing like want something fashion related that you want me to investigate, please, 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 feel free to comment on my like you Instagram or whatever like that, and we can bring them to the podcast.
And we absolutely can. And
Mhm.
don't forget that we actually have the channel um on Instagram called The Cafe.
Yep.
If you look under the profiles of either Julian, myself, or the Audacity podcast on Instagram, you will be taken to that cafe where you can join and share with us there as well. Um,
Absolutely.
so I guess it's my turn.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
As we
Mm-hmm.
know, New York Fashion Week is occurring. And of
Yep.
course, if you're like, okay, girl, like, what are some of the things that we're seeing? One of the things that I do love about fashion is that it comes back again, right? So, like, we are currently literally just in the midst of the 90s kind of world. I'm glad I got my girl again, right? Which is something that, if I'm being completely honest, I have been enjoying because not really for myself. I have not been adorning myself with these 90s trends. I have definitely been doing it with my daughter. Like
Mhm.
she's all about her baggy jeans and stuff like that, which is very, very exciting. But New York Fashion Week is actually highlighting the trends as well as the fashion and style forecast for the spring and summer of 2025, which means that this is something that I will likely be using as I develop my next pattern for Nomi, because the next one that we actually have to end up submitting for is going to be summer. So, what are some
Mhm.
of the things that are standing out? For me, I'm seeing a lot of clean lines. So we're talking about turtlenecks. We're talking about simple silhouettes that have been made to just come alive because they are using different textures. And that is really bringing these simple silhouettes come alive. And I'm loving it. So we're seeing plays on texture. We're seeing plays on opacity. So like, for example, Brandon Maxwell, he showed, and one of the things that he showed was just like a simple turtleneck and a simple skirt, but the skirt was made out of a mesh material that had some like silvery dots on it, so very, very clean lines. Now, one of
Mhm.
the things that we've been seeing this year is the drop waist in dresses for women, and that looks like that is going to be continuing into spring and summer of next year, which honestly I have been enjoying. And I know as plus size baddie, many of us have been looking and being like, oh my gosh, is this trend for us? And it is for us. I have seen so many of us pulling off these looks, looking flawless and beautiful, and it highlighting our bodies and our shapes. And I'm loving it. One of the other things that we're seeing, of course, in addition to say like the meshes and stuff like that, or the sheers, is definitely even more metallics and leather. Now, I will be honest, you will not see me in leather next year in the spring and summer months at all.
Because that
Why?
just
Because
sounds
your girl
high.
already runs hot.
Right.
Exactly.
That just high. That just sounds
It's too
high.
hot. It's too hot.
Mhm.
But we're seeing lots of not necessarily too much structure. We're seeing a lot of these very loose, very flowy, very feminine feeling silhouettes for the women. And then of course for the men, we're definitely giving clean cut. Like for example, um for Tommy Hilfiger, and I don't want to say I don't support Tommy Hilfiger because he had his stint about how he didn't like black people back
Well,
in the
that was actually that's another one for history. Yeah, that didn't quite happen like that.
okay.
Did not. Yeah,
No,
but yeah.
go ahead and drop that piece of knowledge because I liked what he's dropping for, like what he's saying is coming out
Mhm.
for men specifically, because I don't feel like men get enough attention in this fashion circuit. So
Right.
please drop this, because are we supporting him or not?
So, I mean, I think you can. I think that there are some other egregious things that were done, but that
Mm,
statement that has always been kind of we've been resting upon saying like this is what he said did not
hmm.
actually come out that way, and it was taken out of context, leading to just a lot of miscommunication about his feelings and stuff like that. I think that though it was not designed
Hmm.
with the black community in mind, he did embrace that they did take over, like use that as part of the preppy style that really helped to um define a generation. So
Got it.
something that was like, I think, I don't know where it started, but the same, like, I think we could say more about, remember, I think they said the same thing that like Liz Claiborne said the same thing.
Probably.
hmm So like just, how, and literally we have been resting our laurels on those statements for years.
We have been.
Years.
We have been.
And
Okay.
it did not quite happen like that. Now, so, and here's my thing. If if we can see John Paul Gaultier be come back into resurgence, I mean, I can't hold against Tommy something that he said
You're right.
supposedly
You're
in,
right.
in the early 90s.
And why did this designer just leave my head? Kim Kardashian always be repping them.
Mugler,
No, they had the scandal with,
Balenciaga.
yes.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, if Balenciaga's still out here and he's still getting love for
Child
their questionable ass actions, then I guess we can forgive Tommy.
has fully redesigned. One of the things that I did like that I saw is I liked what Michael Kors did. He was bringing a lot of raffia and a lot of using like natural embellishments, so
I
like
like
3D
that
flowers
too.
and stuff like that. And it
Yeah,
was really
adding that
cute.
the natural texture,
hmm
fantastically done. Um,
So
yeah,
I'm already thinking of how can I start to think of ways to incorporate this into now, and one of the things y'all got to realize, we don't believe in just, you don't sew for a season, you sew for what you
no,
want.
right.
So how can I start to think about some of these things that I'm seeing this inspiration
Hmm.
now? Um, as like, because also understand that again, we are coming off of like when like the current patterns that we're working on, we're coming from our own minds. Like, like there were some things that came out for spring and summer of 2025 already, but when
Hmm.
we had to kind of turn this in, this was a little bit before that. So we had to do our own bit of forecasting
Exactly.
or find our own like voices of inspiration. Y'all know I went with what I know, which is vintage. So literally, I went into my vintage pattern library.
And what did Julian say on episode one, season one? I am the trendsetter. So
So
that
yeah,
man just keeping it consistent.
and I had a good time having fun in my vintage pattern library, meaning that I was able to find just find some patterns that I'm like, okay, this is what I
Hmm.
want to give.
Hmm.
And I'm honoring a black designer in this next one. So little hint.
So excited. Well, and I'm saying I'm so excited, but I also know what it is, and I'm still so excited.
Yeah.
Um,
As she
but
as
what
she
it
sees me make it in real time,
right,
yes.
literally, as I'm watching him putting it together.
hmm
Um, but Tommy, along with some other designers, are bringing us nautical excellence per normal. But
hmm
instead of it being a more tailored look, they're giving us color blocked, oversized, slouchy feel paired with the
hmm
classic lines of these nautical looks. So
hmm
that I am also really excited about. Now my husband likes to be in a more tailored look. So I doubt that he is going to be like, hey, babe, can you make me some of these oversized shorts? But I'm excited to see how this can even be worn in a streetwear type of feel because it's
Absolutely.
giving that combination of posh and streetwear together. So looking forward to seeing how some of these looks translate into more either ready wear or how these translate into even patterns.
Right.
Um, but of course, we're getting ready to go into fall, which
hmm
means that it is time to begin to transition. So I have a pregunta, a little question for you,
hmm
Julian.
Okay.
What is your favorite transitional item to help you take your summer looks into fall without having to feel like you have to remake your entire wardrobe?
Cardigans.
Mm-hmm.
Things that I can easily take short sleeve to long sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
are some of my like they just become go-tos for me.
Yeah.
Um, so definitely some of those pieces are things that like I'm like, yes, let's do this. And it makes me excited. So yeah, definitely things that I can easily like transition long sleeve to short sleeve.
Yeah. Okay. Same.
What about you? Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely a cardi girl, but I really feel like at the end of last year, or maybe it was earlier this year, I began to really get into this oversized blazer look, which I
Mm.
feel like made with the right material can also be a great replacement for the um the cardigan. But like
Mm-hmm.
I have an emotional support cardigan, judge someone
Come
else.
on. Come on,
Okay.
emotional support cardigan.
Okay. Listen, and it is my favorite cardigan in the world. I love it so very much. It's currently sitting in my car just in case I need a little bit of emotional support on the go. But I'm a cardigan lover and I looked in my closet and I actually am in need of more cardigans as well as more oversized blazers. So that is definitely something that I'm looking forward to. I do love a more layered look, and so
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for fall temps to come so that I can layer without feeling like I'm about to sweat through my clothes.
See, so again, this is where I am struggling because y'all know I changed deodorants and stuff like that. We said bye to the aluminum free and went back to give me the soda can under my arms. But I'm back to
So to
sweating a
get
lot.
under your arms.
I'm back to sweating a lot. And feeling like, and this happens so often, like usually, sadly, I'm one of those people that I get sensitive and usually every few months I gotta fully switch out deodorants
Hmm.
and like rotate them. So we're about time for a rotation of deodorants to see we about to go look if I can find Tussie. We about to go old school.
Man, Tussie, that's a big throwback. Here's what I will say, because you know your nieces and nephew over here be over here the same way. What
Hmm.
I found is this it's actually, so it's not a deodorant, it's a probiotic that you spray underneath your armpits before you put on the deodorant, and it
Mm.
helps to clear your pores of any lingering bacteria so that it's
Hmm.
ready for your deodorant. And it makes your
Okay.
deodorant that much more effective because you know we are more non-toxic over here.
Which I love it
So,
for y'all. Yes.
but listen, your girl, we won't name names, but it was one of the
Hmm.
girls, was over here smelling like onions,
Oh, no,
not
no,
freshly cut
baby.
onions,
No,
right?
baby. No, baby.
And we
And
no
that's the
longer have
thing.
that issue.
It's not the smell that I've struggled with. It is literally the sweat.
Yes.
And
Well,
so
here's the thing, natural deodorants are not designed to stop
I
the
know,
perspiration.
and that's not my ministry no more.
I mean,
I
like Julian, you know you need to sweat. It's healthy for you.
yeah, but I don't want to sweat through my clothes.
Relatable.
I do not want to sweat through clothes. And that's where we be struggling. When I just be y'all, yeah, I mean, it look like I'm like the whore in church. And I'm not always the whore in church. Only sometimes am I the whore in church. And if I'm gonna be the whore in church, I ain't gonna be the sweaty whore in church. I'm gonna be the one dropping it low. There's a difference.
He said I'm not out here whoring for Jesus, okay?
Unless I want to.
You know what, Julian?
And if I want to, it ain't gonna I don't want to be a sweaty whore. I'm just saying. So yeah, so we about to have to do a switch up. Because when I say I like literally, I'm one of the people I can sweat through a suit jacket with layers, with and this including undershirt, regular shirt,
Yeah.
and through lining and out to outer fabric.
Mm.
And don't let me
Hmm.
be nervous.
Yeah.
I think that because of medication and stuff like that, my metabolism has ramped up, so it feels like I sweat even more now
Even more.
than what I did before. It's just
Wow.
something that I'm noticing. It feels like I'm sweating more. Where's the most interesting place I've been sweating lately? My knees, the back of my legs. Yes.
That is so interesting
So stupid. And it bothers me so bad.
because
So
not you having sweat marks on your pants.
in the crease of my legs.
That is so disrespectful of your niece to be doing that. Like, honestly,
I mean, not like
disrespectful.
I'm like, Jesus, work with me, Lord. Work with me, Lord. I mean, and on top of like, whole back wet and everything, I'm like, if this don't stop, yeah, again.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Now, again, praise the Lord. I don't stink. I usually be smelling like wildflowers or something real pretty because I know that the hot points to hit with fragrance. So
Facts,
it just ruminates.
actual and factual.
But I'm like, I just sweat so much. So trying to figure that all out right now. I do
Gotcha.
definitely need some new cardigans and stuff like that as we're going into the summer. And what's also interesting is I'm one of those people who can sweat and sweat like that in the winter
So
too.
I do that cold sweating too, and I
Like
hate it.
literally, I used to remember waiting for the bus for school or something like that and literally feeling the sweat drop.
Yeah.
Oh
But I
God.
also feel like if you grew up in cold areas, then we were layered up. Like we had on our thermals, we had on our undershirt, we had on at least
Mhm.
2 or 3 layers before we even got to our clothing, before we got to the outer layer. You
True.
know?
But still, literally just chilling, sweating, just like in school, at the desk, working, and you just
Now
drop
Julian over here trying to do some math, trying to figure out, make the math, and over here wiping the sweat away.
wipe me down, sweat drop down these balls. How about that?
Oh my goodness.
I was just out here wayward.
But also, like, I feel like I'm in good company because I'm the same way. Like, Denver and I will take a walk and I will be profusely sweating, and he might have a very light mist, if anything. And I'm like, were we walking the same place, like in the
Right,
same temperature? Because how am I this sweaty? And you're just like, meh.
right.
So I don't ever feel seen by him because he's like, I don't know why you're sweating so hard. Or like, I'll literally, so, of course, I shared my Labor Day story. But like when we were walking, like in this park, like my clothing was drenched because I was like over here literally wiping the sweat. Like after somebody listened to that podcast episode, actually Trisha sent me, of course, um,
Right.
like Peel with the sweat dripping down his face, just pouring down. And
Hmm.
I was like, yeah, that was literally me. But
Yes.
meanwhile, back at the ranch, Denver was looking very calm, cool, and collected.
Right.
And I was like, are we doing the same walk? Like, are we both not outside in 1,000 degree temperature with no hat, no umbrella, no fan, no nothing?
This bothers me. Like,
It bothers
why
me.
is
I don't
why is
know
he God's favorite like that? That's not
why.
fair. That's not
Why?
fair.
Why?
We were good
So
people too.
we're good. I deserve favor. I do.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, Julian, what's some good sewing news that we could use? Or what's some sewing tea that will not make us pee?
Yeah, I mean, as long as just everybody, just make sure your cats and your dogs are safe. How about that? Make sure
But
they ain't in
you
a
know what? I
chilling.
actually haven't seen milkshake or Oreo. Maybe somebody ate them.
Go check them out. Go check it.
My
Go check.
God. Because
Um,
Milkshake didn't come to check on me this morning to make sure I was alive.
is Milkshake bringing all the boys?
She
Or
bringing
is,
all the somebody.
or is look, go you need to go make you need to go check. Or maybe they heard it too and they need to go. They just stay and they said, let me go hide
I don't know
somewhere.
if they were like peeking outside
Hmm.
my door while we were watching the debate.
Because they don't want to be a two for one dinner.
Oh my
They
God.
don't. They don't. But yeah, I don't really have anything else right now. Y'all just pray. Y'all pray. The worst part of it's not even the making of the garments. I hate taking the pictures.
Mm.
So y'all send positive vibes because even though my body has changed, my mindset about my body hasn't most days.
Can I
So
tell you that pink, I mean, like your last pattern release, that pink
mhm,
top just always makes me feel so happy.
I appreciate that. I needed to hear that because
Like, but also like the joy in your face because like you could tell that you were really feeling yourself in that outfit. And it really translated through your look and everything. Like looking at that, in fact, like that is the image that lives rent free in my head of you because it just looks so spirited and so joyful. Um,
I wish
so
it
whatever
fit
you did
still.
there, just do again.
Yes. Maybe a gummy.
Whatever music you were listening to, whoever did that, wherever you were just, you know.
That was my phone in a parking lot in front of a building. Yeah. But we are going to figure out how to channel that with a different look. But again, what's crazy is I cannot fit that outfit. I
Sadness
cannot.
and sorrows for both of us.
To the point, well, wait a minute. I can't like this the I'm at the smallest my like size my pattern comes in. So I think with this new pattern, it will be graded down again so that I can
Hmm.
fit into them. Because literally, technically, to really make this work, I need a size 36, a size 38, and a size 40. 40 for the hips,
Okay.
38 for the waist,
Okay.
36 for the body of
Hmm.
of the top part,
Hmm.
but like the shoulders and chest are 38. Technically, I'm a 36, but a 38 would give
A
me a
better
little
fit.
wiggle room. Hmm.
Mm. Yeah.
So, like Jill, like thinking of like coats and stuff like that. Like I need to start thinking of how I'm refilling the wardrobe, but
Yeah.
finding the patterns to do so is going to be fun.
Yeah.
I
Especially
guess.
because you don't have that green coat anymore. So good luck
Oh
staying
no,
warm.
I don't. I
Yeah.
don't. I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you fix
You
it.
know I will.
Yeah. I hope that you like, put some interfacing at the bottom of it so it doesn't wave anymore. I realized that later. That's what I should have did. But
Mm.
again, I could not do that because I was not in the pattern.
Yeah.
But also the way I don't know how I got away with that coat because that coat technically was not a fabric that we could use because that coat is knit. That fabric is a sweater knit. It doesn't stretch, but it's a sweater knit and it's a
Mm.
woven coat. How I bypassed? Don't know, but we did. Fun facts.
The more you know.
Yes.
Mm.
But yeah, it's gonna be good. What news you got? What you got? What tea you got? Can we also just be excited that you're feeling better? You started to get the procedures needed.
Yeah. So I had two surgeries this week
Hmm.
and
And y'all dedication because she's on here talking to y'all and me, where she,
yeah.
she, she ain't had to. So we're gonna send her love and positivity and healing.
Sending my love to you.
Look. Mm-hmm.
Um, and you know what? After I had going into the surgery, the whole reason why I had it is because my left leg has been in so much pain all summer long.
Right.
And after I had the surgery done on the right leg, it was two
Mm-hmm.
procedures. They essentially killed two of my veins.
Okay.
And then on Tuesday morning, I woke up and I was like, oh man, I feel so good. Like I didn't even know that I needed the slightness in my legs. I felt amazing. And I was like, oh, that means that Wednesday morning when I wake up,
Mm-hmm.
because Tuesday is when I had the procedure done, the surgery on my left leg.
Right.
It was more extensive, the damage. So they
Okay.
had to do a little bit more. Like my legs are bruised and stuff like that. I've got my
Mm-hmm.
incision sites and everything like that. But like I thought I was gonna wake up Wednesday morning and be like hopping out the bed and be like finally pain free, do do do.
Right.
And that is not actually how I jumped out the bed. In fact, I woke up and I am still swollen and I am still in pain and I am not happy about it. And if I'm being
Okay.
completely honest, it has been a struggle for me to be positive because I thought that by now the pain would have already subsided, and it has not. And
Mm-hmm.
now, yes, of course, I can take ibuprofen or Tylenol, but I'm just like, after essentially doing that all summer long, your girl is like, I just want my kidneys and liver to last a little bit longer. So I
That
don't want to
part.
be over here popping pills.
Right.
Um, so I'm a little
Mm-hmm.
disappointed that the relief wasn't a little bit more expeditious the way that I needed it to be, but we're staying positive still.
Day at a time. Day at a time. And
Yeah.
it has barely been 24 hours.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
let's give it like, and sometimes, especially you had it done on both legs in the same week, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So that the endorphins and stuff like that that helped to mask the pain the first time,
Mm. Hmm.
you probably expended it on that first time. So,
Yeah.
it's like getting two piercings or something at once. Like, that first one is like you use up the energy for that first one.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm really hoping and speaking and manifesting and all of that into existence that, that it is going to be worked out and the pain will stop, the swelling will stop, et cetera, et cetera.
hmm.
But in the meantime, I'm not very happy about it and I don't want to make pretend I'm not
And
happy.
that's real. And we hold space for true feelings because that's what's
Yeah.
important. So
Yeah.
No, long gone are the days of just trying to power through. The same way that it's gone on the days, and I'm letting y'all know this now. Sadly, we are in election season, and this is probably one of the most important times for all of us, no matter
Hmm.
where you are in this process. I don't care what you believe in or anything like that.
Hmm.
Please use your power to vote. And if you are not going to use it, that's your business, but then don't talk about it. Don't complain about it because you had a chance and you didn't use it.
Yeah.
But also understand that we are not a shut up and so type of channel.
Right. No, we are not.
We live our lives at the intersections, and it's a political act that we come onto social media every day and show joy through our sewing and through our creativity as Black
Yes.
people. So please do not come to us saying like, I just would like for y'all just to focus on sewing because we don't have that luxury.
We don't have
That's
that
a
luxury.
privilege
We
we
don't
don't get
have
to
that
live with.
privilege at all.
So I'm just letting y'all know now, because if you come at me sideways, I'm gonna come at you like triangles. The angles I'm gonna throw at you, you ain't gonna be ready
He
for
said,
this.
I'm gonna come at you like triangles.
So I'm
I'm
just,
undone.
I will look. I'm just saying. I'm letting people know now because we are hitting places and people done lost their mind and don't know that I can lose minds too.
Uh-oh. He
I'm
said,
just
govern
saying.
yourself accordingly.
I'm just saying. But we keep it cute. May God bless you. And I will, I will still give
Hmm.
you, I will give you one of them good old Tabitha Brown prayers. God bless you, baby. I wish you nothing but the best.
Yeah, but
Even
also remember that we are not debating whether or not pizza belongs on, I mean, pineapple belongs on pizza. We are talking about
if it does.
people's lives here. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying?
Absolutely. But
And I think
pineapple
it's
do belong
important
on pizza.
to remember that, and that not everybody has the luxury of being like, it's above me, or oh, I don't want to pay attention to that, or oh, you
Yeah,
know, we should be talking about sewing, not about politics. And the truth of the matter is that the sewing world is just simply a subset of greater society, which means
mhm,
that this affects us as well, you know?
absolutely. So, and I think also I know that we each take our own different space in this place. I'm not a call out, I'm an invite in. So we can
Hmm.
have different viewpoints and be respectful of
Hmm.
each other and may not agree, but you be respectful of me, I can be respectful of you, even if we're just focusing on sewing. But understand that I don't stop talking about these things because they are part of the life that I live and they're
Yeah.
part of my sewing. So just kind of we have 2 months or less than that, really. So let's be mindful. Make sure that you are registered to vote. Make sure that
Yep.
you go check your registration because they have been purging polls. Just FYI.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, stay safe, you know?
Hmm. Absolutely. But y'all, we're gonna end on a better note because I don't want y'all to think I'm just spicy. Um,
We know you're spicy.
I mean a little bit, a little bit habanero sauce. Um, we wish you nothing but the best. We wish that you're having a good week, because Mercury's out of micro braids. Praise the Lord. Now, do they still got a little bit of the shadow? Like, you can still see where the braids are because they just took them out. They ain't fully washed their hair and greased their scalp yet. But Mercury's out of micro braids and is about to get their hair conditioned. So we ask that God provides, or the universe provides, whatever you believe in, the higher power provides ease. Ease going into this weekend for you. Ease
E.
going into next week. Ease as we go into this autumn season, into harvest. May the harvest comes to you easily. May abundance find you. May your creativity blossom. May that you find the best fabrics that you ever wanted to work with. May your sewing machine always work. May your needle never go dull, even though you still will change it like you change your drawers. May you not see extra lint in your stuff. But we pray for you to have ease and that you have a good week and that you stay audacious and stay creative.
Yes. Amen.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.